Morning, everyone. Hello. All right, let's get started. Today I want to talk to you about continuing to show up even when you don't feel like it. I have a confession to make. I've had the worst week ever. There's just been some things going on behind the scenes that, stacked up on top of each other have made for a pretty shit week. And I normally don't, I'm usually a pretty positive person and I've tried to power through, but it's just been one of those freaking things where I've done things like, I booked and paid for my business class flights to Florida and they emailed me yesterday with the dates. I'm like, no, that was supposed to be booked for March. And they said, no, you said April. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I looked at all of my communication and originally I was saying, I'm going in March, these are the dates. And then in one of my emails by accident, because I had a brain fade, I mentioned the word April and they've gone ahead and changed everything without saying to me, I'm trying not to play victim here, but they then went ahead and said, oh no, well, we just assumed that when you said April, it was April. I'm like, well, you didn't stop to think that when every other email I had sent you said March, you didn't stop to think maybe you should question, do you mean March? Anyway, so they didn't. So it cost me an extra $500 to change the flights. I did the same thing with my accommodation about a week ago. Not paying attention to detail and it's costing me every freaking time, and I've also had a whole bunch of payments default. That never happens in my world, and it's just upper limit shit is all it is. It's me being really aware of the fact that, I'm hitting another level right now, and the universe is just throwing all this garbage at me just to, remind me that, to make it difficult. If you've read Gay Hendricks' The Big Leap book, you will see he talks about upper limiting, and this sort of stuff happens when you're upper limiting. I just was actually doing a bit of an audit the other day, and one of the questions was, it was the Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp one, and I was just going through it, and one of the questions was, do you attract unexpected bills? And I remember thinking, I used to, but I haven't done that for so long now. Like, I used to always attract that sort of stuff when I was in a place of lack, and in the last week it's cost me freaking thousands of dollars because I keep making stupid dumbass mistakes like that. So yeah, it's been a really challenging week in a lot of ways, and I'm not sure how much of that had to do with the fact that I'd gone and had that reading and I don't know, something, who knows, but it's been a challenging and frustrating week. But I've just ignored it, I've actually laughed out loud a couple of times thinking, what am I supposed to be getting here? What is the message that I'm supposed to be getting here? I'm not a dumbass, like I know there's something that I'm supposed to be hearing and I just can't work it out. So it will all reveal itself. I've got kinesiology this afternoon and it's like, whatever this thing is, get it out at me. Like, let's just deal with that. But it's been interesting to observe, and I felt like not showing up. Every day I felt like I don't want to show up. I just can't be stuffed, because I'm just not feeling it. But I've showed up every single day, and when I'm online and doing my lives, I feel connected with my community, and so much good stuff is coming up in my groups and with my clients, and I'm really loving that. And that's kind of what's got me through, I think. And hey, Jen. And as I say, they're just small things. And I guess, on reflection, it's looking back and saying, well, once upon a time, any one of those things would have just, sent me for a loop, right? I had $30,000 worth of outstanding invoices, people that had defaulted on payments. As I say, that never happens. And, once upon a time, it was a freaking dream to have $30,000 worth of outstanding invoices, So it's a matter of perspective, I guess, and it was help, with the contrast, going, well, that ticket, having to, pay extra money to change that ticket because I made a mistake and somebody didn't pick up on it, I was able to just sort that out. I was able to just go there and sort it out, and it was, I guess, a nice little reminder that you know, this might feel inconvenient, but that's all it is. It's an inconvenience, and be grateful for the fact that right now this stuff is an inconvenience. It's not, you know, and in the, you know, in the context of the ticket, like the ticket was like $8,000 or something. So what's an extra 500 on top of that to fix it? So yeah, you know, I think that one of the reasons I resist showing up when I feel like this is because I feel like my energy is negative, and I don't want to be spreading that kind of stuff there. And when you start to spread negative energy, it can take hold and steamroll. And I've been, you know, I've been journaling through it and doing all the right stuff, but it just is like one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. And I'm just like, okay, what is the freaking lesson? Like, I understand I'm supposed to be getting something, but what the hell is it? But yeah, not wanting to show up because my energy wasn't there has been a challenge, you know, it really has. But I've done it anyway, you know, I've continued to show up. I've been live, I've had the communication, my energy, I know if you go back and you have a look at the videos from the last week, you'll see the energy's not quite right, you know, you'll see there's something off a little bit. And it's just been that, you know, just me having a shit week. And I think I don't have them very often these days. I might have the odd shitty day from time to time, but even they're rare, you know, because I choose to continue to, what's that? I just choose to continue to soldier on regardless. And I'm also aware of the fact that in the scheme of things, thanks Kim, I sure do. In the scheme of things, you know, it helped me as well to expand my thinking. And I'm looking at this, and the question that I was asking myself is am I going to give a shit about this in 3 months' time? And the answer is no, I'm not. And so then that helped me to reduce the amount of energy that I give it. So it's like, this is just a transient thing. You know, whatever this is about is, yeah. And whatever it's about is going to show up, and I'll, you know, it'll work itself out. And I didn't give too much energy to it. But, you know, you can have bad days in your business. You can have personal stuff going on behind the scenes. You know, but it is important to continue to show up and just bring your best. And my best this last week hasn't been as good as my best, you know, in December when I was, you know, on a massive roll, but I gave the best that I could on the day. And that's all you can ask of yourself as well. You know, our best isn't going to be the same from day to day. It's going to shift, it's going to ebb, it's going to flow. And some days our best is going to be awesome, and some days our best is just going to be the best that you could do on the day. And that's okay. You know, I can remember showing up, running one of my events, and my daughter had been admitted into the eating disorder clinic the day before. You know, everything kind of turned to crap, and I had to get her there, and it was this very stressful, and you know, you can imagine, it was a very stressful time. And then the next morning I showed up, I went and ran my workshop for the day, and I was just able to switch on. Chloe was okay, you know, I'd made sure all of that, and it was okay for me to go and run it. So I was able to just, morning Michelle, I was able to just kind of switch into that and show up, and it ended up being an amazing workshop. And since, you know, I think she was admitted again when I was going to Sydney to run my mastermind one time. And the girls on the Sydney group were like, no, it's okay, don't come, we'll do it another week or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm coming and I'm going to be fine. And I was there, and I was able to switch on. And we get better at that. You know, life's problems are never going to go away. We are always going to have stuff that shows up. You know, I've been through, you know, numerous divorces and stuff with my kids, and, you know, so much stuff, like we all do. You know, we all have stuff, and we're all going through stuff all the time. You know, Dave and I are amazing, but there are times we argue, you know, when he shits me to tears, and that puts me in a bad mood. But it shouldn't affect the way we show, you know, it will affect the way we show up, but it shouldn't affect whether we show up or not, I guess is what I want to say. I know for me that when I step out, if I were to retreat when I was feeling like this, and then go another day, and then another day, and then another day, it's very hard to come back out and to throw yourself into it again. But if you just keep showing up, it will pass. And as I say, life is messy. We're always going to have stuff. And if you use that emotional turmoil as an excuse not to show up, you're going to have, you know, times in your life where you just don't show up for months or weeks at a time. And that's not good for business. So we're able to actually keep apart what I'm able to do now better than I've ever been able to do in my life. And I had to actually make a distinct decision around what goes on in my personal life So whether my kids are sick or whether I'm going through relationship crisis or whatever it is, that in no way has any impact or effect on my ability to be a good coach or a good entrepreneur. They're separate things. And the worst thing is, the worst thing to do is the best of self. I'm not sure what you mean, Colleen. Yeah, so where was I? I've lost train of thought. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So what I was able to see was that, you know, the fact that my kids are struggling and we're having issues is actually no reflection of myself as a businesswoman. And I actually get to choose to keep that entirely separate. And I've just got really good at doing that over the time. Beat ourselves up now, I'm with you. Bloody autocorrect. And now I'm really good at that. You know, big stuff can happen to me. I can be floored by something and still show up. I can still run my masterminds. I can still get on Facebook Live and do what I need to do. I can still show up for the training that I need to run on that day. And that didn't just happen by accident. You know, that was me just going, well, I'm just going to do it. And I'm not somebody that just doesn't show up or quits anyway. So it was really not really an option, but you know, it takes discipline and it takes courage, because, you know, if we are in an emotional state, we never know if something's going to trigger us. So I'm a crier at the best of times, so, you know, you just never know if you're in front of somebody and you're going to burst into tears or whatever. Yeah, autocorrect. So, you know, it can be a little bit scary not knowing kind of what shit's going to go down when you show up. But you've just got to keep doing it, you know, and that's worked really well for me. And it's meant that instead of having, you know, my business move forward and then something happening with my kids or whatever, and then me like retreating and getting out of the way and dealing with that and not showing up, and then I've got to get that freaking train back on the track again and moving forward. And it would hold me back and set me back. And it meant that it took so much longer to get where I wanted to be, because it was this moving forward, and then something would happen. It's like, oh, I can't deal. I don't want to show up. I don't want to, you know, don't want my energy out there. And then, you know, as I say, the train goes off the track, and then you finally get your shit together again. You get the train back on the track, and you've lost so much momentum. So if you can separate those two things and continue to show up no matter what's going on, and you know, if you, some of the best lives that I've done, I didn't consider them the best, but the ones that had the most impact were the ones where I lost my shit and started crying because something made me emotional. And, you know, we want to see that people are real and raw, and that, you know, one of the things that, like, you know, a number of you have said, you know, oh my God, I'm so glad to hear that you have a crappy day or a crappy week as well. And that's what we know. We, you know, the people that we see in our world that we, you know, are watching, we always think they have their shit together, even though logically and realistically we know they don't. We know they're struggling. On some level, we always just think that they, you know, that, yeah, sure, they're saying that or whatever, but, you know, their life looks amazing. And I think it's important for us to share when things aren't amazing, and because it makes us relatable. You know, people see that we just have the same struggles as everybody else, and it doesn't make, you know, we all beat ourselves up so much every day. And so it allows you know, instead of beating yourself up, you can go, oh, okay, so they do too. It's okay. This is actually okay. And we make it kind of the new normal, or the, you know, the reality, instead of living in a friggin' dream world where we think that the people that we are watching online all have their shit together all the time and life is perfect. It's certainly not like that in my world. It's an amazing life, you know, but there are ups and downs. I have children, and those children, you know, age me a lot of the time. You know, and a lot of the time they don't as well, you know, and relationships are tricky, and, you know, you have ups and downs in that stuff as well. And, you know, the perimenopause thing, you know, the ups and downs with that. And, you know, that's just life. But if I stepped out, if I checked out every time one of those things showed up, because I had a fat day, because I'm bloated, because of my perimenopause issues, you know, I would not have a business at the end of the day. So, yeah, discipline yourself to show up, even if you don't feel like it, and know that your best is good enough on the day, and it's going to vary. Some days it's going to be awesome, some days it's going to be average, but as long as it's the best that you've got to give on that day, that's all you can do. That's all you can ask of yourself. That's all anybody is going to ask of you. And if people judge you on that, then, you know, kind of bad luck. you know, because for that one person that judges you, there are going to be 20 people that go, you know, you go girlfriend, and oh, she's not quite right today, but you know, she's still here. You know, you will have the people supporting you that need to support you and want to support you. You know, I love my community and I feel the love that comes from them. And so it just, you know, that's what you want in your world as well. You want to know that you're supported by the right people. You're always going to have that one person that is the square peg who wants to be an ass. And at the end of the day, they don't matter. You know, go where the love is, which is, you know, the majority of people are in your community and in your world, and they're following you and in your world. It's because they love and connect with you. So, you know, do them the courtesy of connecting with them as well and showing up every day and being real. You know, that's it. Anyway, I have kinesiology this afternoon and I can't wait, because whatever has been going on, this energy thing, she's going to get rid of that, and then it's going to be good. It's going to be a better week next week, that's for sure. Anyway, have an amazing day. It's Friday here in Australia. I'm about to go on my walk and listen to an Audible, and my cleaner's coming, so I'm going to have a clean house this afternoon, which is awesome. And then I've got my kinesiology, so it's looking like a good Friday. Anyway, guys, much love to you. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.